Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Reverse the Verse. It's Friday, December 18th, 2015. I'm your community manager, Jared Huckabee. With me, as always, is our director of community engagement, online strategy, and spaceships,
Ben?
quote-unquote master disaster, Mr. Ben Lesnick. Subscription manager, Alexis Lesnick. Our editor emeritus, Justin Money Chambers, who has a new hat. Why aren't you wearing your new hat?
Well, I'm gonna debut the new hat. I was gonna surprise him and
Well, surprise him.
presentation. Okay, so
The presentation is everywhere.
we're thinking about retiring the money hat, but you guys let us know if we should retire it. But Ben and Allie got me a new hat. So now.
Whom he didn't even know who it was.
Okay, we're not
someone.
supposed to tell people that because I wasn't gonna say that part of it because I actually forgot again.
Oh
But
my
it's
god.
No wait, it's Lieutenant or Captain Phasma.
It's one of the
Captain
Space
Phasma.
Warriors from
Lieutenant
Star
Phasma.
Soldiers.
Lieutenant Phasma?
No.
Oh wait, no. Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma.
There you go.
So I'm officially inducted into the Star
You
Wars.
could write it on the
canon.
inside of the hat.
I know,
That
that's what I
way-
need to do.
Yeah.
Just put it on the brim there.
That was
So you
part
can
of
just
my.
look up.
So, this is the new hat. Tell us if we should retire the money hat or if we should keep the Captain Phasma hat. And we'll decide from there.
The stakes have never been higher.
Oh, God. That pun I sent you yesterday, Ben, or showed you. Stakes never been higher.
So, if you're just joining us for any reason, Reverse the Verse is the Cloud Imperium Games community team's weekly informal live stream with the fans. Basically, we chat about our week in review, the things that we did this week, and answer questions at some point during the show. Today, we are broadcasting from my desk. We debuted our new fan cave set on the holiday live stream this Wednesday. We'll be in there from now on after this broadcast, hopefully.
Well, let's explain. You guys ever get a toy that's so cool for Christmas or something, and then your dad comes and oh, that's pretty neat, I could use that, and then it kind of disappears? That's what happened to the fan cave this week, because Chris is shooting 10 for the chairman there as we speak.
Yes, Chris is in our set right now shooting his 10 for chairman in the fan cave. So we're here at my desk because Dad likes our toys.
It's like the
We-
Lego movie.
We built it too well.
It's like the Lego movie.
It's like the Lego movie.
And I'm an astronaut that likes spaceships. You know, Ben.
So, Ben, this week, what'd you do?
I did a live stream. That was it. There was some Star Wars involved in various capacities this week.
So I'm reading the. It looks like the money hat's winning.
All right.
So the money hat it is.
Stick with the money hat.
Money hat it is. No, it was a normal week other than the things I just said. We're all very tired because we saw
Yes.
Star Wars last night.
Yes.
And I want to stress we're not going to spoil it. We're not going to tell you anything about the movie. But we
Yes,
had a good time.
we saw Star Wars last night. This is our commemorative Galaxy
That
premiere
only
ticket.
3 of us got.
Yes.
Where'd you end up with those from?
Oh, that's what I said, but you know.
Because Disco Leno got game.
Wow, yeah.
That's why. No, each theater got 3 of these. They're a numbered edition. This is number 15,135 of 30,000. So 30,000 between every theater in the world for its Galaxy premiere. Theaters don't get many of these. And I finagled all 3 of them from our local theater yesterday.
Nice.
Because we're bringing 50 people today to the theater. So I'm like, hey, I brought 50 people here. $750 or something more. I'm not math. And I'm saying, give me the 3 tickets. And they were like, okay. It's pretty much exactly how it went.
So this is actually a really fun day at Cloud Imperium. We're all leaving early. Yes, we're racing back from money to leave early to celebrate the holidays. We're all going to see Star Wars together, second time for some of us, and have a little holiday party to celebrate. It was a very good year.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, if you probably hear some saws and stuff in the background, the office is still under construction. So that's what's going on right now. I believe there's some sanding going on in our lobby.
There's always some sandy going on in our lobby.
No, anniversary. Gosh, they all run together. We've been basically running nonstop since Gamescom with these live streams and stuff. So it's
And now we get to go home and have a totally stress-free holiday with our parents.
yes. I'm on the road back to Utah tonight.
When
But
are you leaving?
right after, as soon as I get tired of our holiday party. So probably 5 minutes in.
I'm excited. Is it a sit-down dinner?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So so we're all excited to get some much needed rest here soon.
Is your wife coming?
Yes, she is. I'm excited for her to meet you guys.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
it's going to be a good night.
The holiday live stream went well despite some challenges. You know, it was our first production here in the new office, so there were a lot of things we had to figure out the hard way.
Which is by screwing them up.
Yep. But how about that procedural generation, huh?
Yes. We could have just, like...
Run that on loop for 3 hours?
Yeah, that would have been better.
That would have sufficed.
No, that blew us when we saw it. We've been so excited to share it. And it looks so good.
And that was the hardest part because we had been seeing it iterate for the last 2 weeks as Hannes was cranking out better and better versions of it. And we're just, every time a new version came in, Chris would come over and say, hey, well, first Ben was like, come to my computer and check this out. And then Chris came to my computer. It's like, everybody come to this computer and check it out. And it was so good. And it's real. We made the decision during the live stream. It was halfway through the live stream. We decided to bring Chris's computer into the stage area and hook it up, and so that we could show everybody because we were so convinced like people aren't going to believe this is live. And
So, basically, Sean Tracy was working on that in Austin up until the night before, and then he was flying here for work stuff. So he was in the air that morning. We were trying to decide whether or not we should do a live demo or show the canned one, and we ended up doing it live, and it was fantastic. So.
yeah, he was nervous as he was having trouble landing because it's not complete. It's not done.
It doesn't have all the physics.
It doesn't have all the physics grids. It doesn't have all the collisions and stuff. So landing was actually difficult because there are some parts you don't pass through and some parts you do pass through. So he was very, very nervous, and I had to keep telling him nobody's going to care about your landing. I promise. With everything else they're seeing, nobody's going to care if you don't stick your landing, Sean.
Yes, Star Citizen fans have never been known to be particularly critical of.
Star Citizen fans are very easygoing. They take things as they come.
Just want a couple of margs and a riverboat. You know what people do to relax? Drink margaritas on boats.
On a
I feel like it
riverboat? Nobody's ever had a margarita on a riverboat in their life.
Okay, so maybe it's not the common human experience. But... Also, Wolf is here.
Yes, there he is back there.
One of our, you guys know, $50 million man, one of our big backers. We invited him to come see Star Wars with us last night, and we figured, come to our TV because...
Why not?
Yeah.
So, as many of you noticed, no ATV yesterday because of the live stream. But ATV will return next week, and
Yes, we'll do a short one for the holidays next week. We'll publish it from the safety of our homes.
actually it's the same length. It's got the same. The segments are already produced.
No, I'm going to do hosting really quick.
Okay.
Speed host.
So there'll be an ATV next week and an ATV the week after that. Next week's episode features a roundtable with the QA team. QA is the entryway into getting into making video games for many people. So if you're curious about that first step into the video game world, that'll be interesting to you. And if you're not, it'll probably bore you to tears.
I find that the trick is just to be friends with Chris Roberts for 15, 20 years.
Yes.
And then eventually...
Yes, if you can be friends with Chris Roberts for 15 or 20 years, you should do that.
Yes.
But second to that, QA is really the door in for a lot of people. And then, so that's coming out Christmas Eve. And then the week after that, it'll be New Year's Eve, probably?
Yes.
New Year's Eve. That episode has a really cool behind-the-scenes look at the lighting of Star Citizen with a look at Nyx. So you'll want to check that one out on New Year's Eve. So and that wraps up the end of our Austin segments.
Nick's big thing.
Nope.
No. Yeah, we got stuff doing next month.
No, I actually kind of like that one. It's the next big thing. I'm okay with that one. Maybe I'm like, what's that thing where you start to fall in love with your captors?
Ben.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's like
Stockholm
Night-
syndrome.
Nightingale.
Stockholm.
I might have Ben Pun Stockholm syndrome. Because that one didn't bother me. That one didn't bother me.
Captive?
I don't have Justin Chambers Stockholm syndrome. I don't have that. No. Ben's puns are like a torture, or like being held hostage. My job holds me hostage to Ben's puns.
Oh,
But I'm starting to appreciate them little by little. I'm saying that might be a Stockholm syndrome.
It could
But
also be
see,
lack of
Jo-
sleep.
you're not.
Yeah.
You're not subject to Jeffrey Pease's puns on a daily basis. And those.
No, because Jeff knows better.
I hear them, and I've made peace with them.
Oh God, I set that one up. That one was entirely my fault.
So, Allie, what did you do?
What did I do this week? I got us set up for our Jump Point pre-sales, which are available in the store right now. If you're a subscriber, you can get a discounted version, and then we also have a standard version available for everybody else.
I only bought.
Wolf has only bought 2. So.
Are these the hardcover ones?
They are, yes,
They're all
we're
gonna be
doing all
hardcover.
hardcover this time. I saw lots of I won't buy volume 2 unless you do volume 1 again, which we're just doing volume 2 right now, everybody.
And we will say if you don't buy volume 2, we're never going to be able to do volume 1 again. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Yes, people buying these are directly correlate to whether we sell them. So you have to buy them for us to sell them. That's why it's a pre-order and not just an order.
Aren't they mostly a loss too?
Yes.
And I will say, normally when
Yeah,
we
we-
do a
we-
sale or something, I always say, don't buy this. A new ship, you can get it in the game, you can earn it. It's, it's not some urgent thing. I'm more interested in showing off the cool new game mechanics we build when we have a new ship, something like that. With the printed books, please buy the printed book. It lets us do more books, and I really want to do more books.
Yeah.
I want to do printed manuals and blueprints and brochures and novels and all that, and we just need the numbers to make that happen. So, and I think Jump Point Volume 1 is one of the best things we've sold. It's a really cool publication. I would encourage.
And yeah, I just want to point out that the subscriber discount version, we're really not, there's no profit being made on that, so it really is a special discount version.
And what we can't talk about, we saw Star Wars. We saw Star Wars last night.
Yes.
Oh, and
But we're not going to give you our opinions or
Nope.
anything.
Not telling you anything about it.
I'm thinking like late Monday, I can probably social media about it. I know a lot of kind folks have tweeted at me asking, what do you think? I want to wait. I want everybody to have a chance to see this thing who's excited. I was really happy that there were no jorks out there who spoiled it for me. I mean, I know we're pretty big targets, and there's lots of jerks out there, but no, it didn't happen. That was really cool. Very cool to have a 1 million person community that would not make that effort. There's no jerk or crazy person who would do that. I thought that was fantastic.
I'd just like to point out that it is kind of sad that you are congratulating people for not being jerks.
I think people should get all the positive reinforcement they possibly can for not being jerks. Keep not being jerks. It's the way of the future.
Yes.
We also did a 45-minute Periscope where Justin tried to set Hennessy up with a lotion lady.
Oh, wait, but first let's preface that she was a really sweet woman. She was really cute. I think she'd been perfect for Tom. I was gonna be his wingman. I warmed her up for her,
And then he didn't go in for
and
it.
then he didn't go in. I got her all set up and ready.
And then another guy was.
And then another
yeah.
guy came and closed the deal.
Yeah,
it's like
he
I
was-
opened it up for another guy.
Did he
Could've been
actually
Tom's.
close it? I wasn't around.
He had to have. He was in there for 45 minutes talking to
It was
us.
quite a transaction going on.
I was trying to be Tom's wingman, but he just wants to be lonely. So, unfortunately.
Tom, are you watching this?
Tom, are
Oh,
you
no,
watching?
No, he's in there recording
Time
time for the chairman.
You know,
All right,
but
so we can talk about him.
it was. We actually had a really good time hanging out together. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
that made it all much better.
We went to like a group dinner. We sat around for a few hours because we
Had a whole
Didn't
breakfast.
plan
really
well.
overestimated how early we needed to be
Well,
there.
I felt like we thought we were gonna sit at dinner a lot longer.
Yeah,
and
it's nice.
just
I kept
things
saying
just
we should sit at
happened.
dinner
But
for a while.
how it panned out was perfectly. I think we should do the same. I love being forced to talk to everybody forever.
Had a fried macaroni and cheese hamburger. It was pretty good.
It was a busy week actually.
Bun
for
could have
me.
been better.
I had to edit I have to edit everything
Bun
for
could
2
definitely
weeks
have
that'll
been
be
better.
gone. So it's been busy.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got Adele tickets that are now worth like $5,000 a piece, but I'm not selling them.
You should sell them.
I know.
You
At
should
this
sell them.
point, I should sell. Even though they're worth so much money right now, but I'm gonna hold on to them till closer to the event when they're worth like $10,000. Actually, floor seats are going for $10,000 now.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
That
You
is
could buy an Adele for that.
Yes,
Like-
you could.
And I have seats right before floor seats, and so it's like mine are going for like $5,000 and stuff. But
You go to some small town in England that nobody remembers and buy an Adele for that.
They just have them waiting
they
there.
just have them waiting there for.
So
What I
You're
should
getting
have
Adele.
done is I should have bought more than just 3.
Nope.
let's put this into some perspective here. So $10,000 for floor seats for Adele,
Yes.
or $10,000 for 42 ships that you can play for 10 years or so.
I think Jared, this question's for you.
Nothing. Not everything's about buying ships, Wolf.
I know. I'm just saying.
Oh, and I want to send a thank you to Nicholas Vanderhoek from, I think it's Red Deer AB. I don't understand the address.
Yeah,
Oh,
please-
it's
please
it's
give
Canada.
Give it to the blind guy.
It's a
please.
Canada.
This is, yeah, Red Deer, Alberta.
Yeah. Nicholas Vanderhoek wrote me a very nice letter, thanking me for being terrible.
You have a stamp that says when we receive mail now?
Wait, does it actually tell you that
You're
you're
getting
terrible?
fancy.
Yeah. Notice they had to open my mail. I didn't open it. This letter arrived on my desk, addressed to me, but pre-opened and stamped.
Just to make sure it's
somebody,
not
so
like
some
anthrax or
Fancy now.
apparently people are scanning my email for anthrax.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry for them trolls. Can't abstract them.
So thanks, Nick. Sorry if I put your address on the stream just now.
I think you can read it.
That was quick.
Nick was very nice. Thank you. All right, so it is 11:18. We've done our 15 minutes of weekend review. Now's the time on Reverse the Verse when we take questions from our fans. We take questions from the RSI chat and the Twitch chat. Please preface your question with the word question in capital letters and surrounded by brackets. That helps us pull it out from all the other stuff that gets thrown into chat.
Before we do that,
But before we do that,
I should say that they're going to try to push a 2.1 build to the PTU later today. It'll be limited to initial testers at first, but they're still making progress on that. We have not all gone home for the holidays yet, so we're hoping to get that in front of at least some folks today, barring a terrible incident.
remember that's not a guarantee of something happening. That's our intention. That's what we're shooting for.
guarantee we might do it.
I guarantee we intend to do it.
There you go.
We dream.
Yeah.
No, I've heard the build is looking good. It has to go through. I think it went through QA in UK, and they were happy. It's going to go through some other testing in Austin first. We'll let you know.
Gotcha. Any status update on the unmelt system?
The unmelt system was supposed to be out today. Is anybody here from Turbulent?
Hey, Turbulent, if you're watching the show, and I don't know why you would be. Yes?
Yes, somebody is going to have words with them after this broadcast.
So we don't know, guys. The plan was today, but with a system this complex, and anytime there's a system dealing with your money, they put it through the ringer a couple times to make sure it doesn't disappear your money. So we'll see if that's ready. And if it is coming out today, there'll be a post. Why is he called Sean Criminal Tracy? Well, Sean Tracy should be showing up to our stream if he remembers in about 10 or 15 minutes. So if he shows up, we can ask him when he's here.
I assume it's just his nickname.
I assume he has a criminal record.
He's Canadian. They don't cause crimes.
I saw somebody asking about delivery estimate for Jump Point Volume 2. Likely sometime in the spring, those will be shipping.
I think these are one of the Sharpies you stolen from your thing.
Ooh. Yeah, all my black Sharpies were gone today.
I stole one of them.
Oh my god. Apparently, I am the only one in our section of the office that has visible office supplies. So, several times a day, someone comes to borrow scissors, tape, or Sharpies.
Let's see.
The button.
Does the Idris still have a mini hanger underneath for an Argo?
Where's the Argo in the Idris right now? I think it's in the regular hanger.
I think it's in the regular hanger.
Yeah, I thought it just had a slot
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. In the Moro tour, it just flew right into the regular hangar and landed. Probably stores off to the side. We'll see. Vanguard flight ready in 2.1?
No.
I don't think that's one of the flight readies, no.
The Freelancer will be flight ready in 2.1. And the Saber will be hanger ready.
Yes. And the Vanguard model that you have right now is like an advanced gray box. It will continue to iterate. As you saw, if you watched the holiday live stream, we had 2 pictures of the Vanguard as they built it out now. It looks much better than what you're seeing in the hangar now. It's the catch-22. We either wait until it's completely done, and you never see it until it's completely done, or you say, show it to us now, put it in early, put it in gray box, and people are like, oh, it looks like crap. And it's like, well, it's not finished. You wanted it early.
You just missed your opportunity to ask Sean Tracy about that.
Sean Tracy! Sean Tracy!
He's like, I'm gonna blow you off right now.
Sean Tracy! Sean Tracy.
Confirmed. Sean Tracy hates Disco Lando.
Yes. What is the current status of the Banning Merchantman?
No changes.
Still waiting for its time on the wheel. Basically, we're not building every ship at all times.
One at a time. It's
Yeah, still Justin's chair.
folks are working on the Caterpillar right now, I believe.
And the Starfarer will be our test bed for a lot of the systems that they'll use for the Banning Merchantman. So, any surprises for us in 2.1 other than the ones announced?
No.
Now, see, when I said there weren't any surprises for something, like, well, there might be some surprises. And
No,
now-
I know there's not any. Because we had a live stream to talk about it. If we had any surprises, we would have told you that. I'm sure there will be unintentional surprises, like it breaks the game when you land at a commune lane now, or you fall through the floor of every floor there is.
Or when you spawn a ship, gravity turns on and throughout all of Crusader, and everybody falls through space.
That was my favorite bug recently.
Yes. That was a pretty good bug. Why did the Starfarer get so big?
It's always been.
UK, Foundry 42 did that. They make stuff bigger.
Yeah.
They needed it as a set piece for some Squadron stuff, and they have no restraint in ship sizing. Mothers, please keep your children out of the keep your ships and children out of the hands of Foundry 42 UK.
AM big and every
Nothing new on the 890 jump like the Merchantman. Its time on the wheel hasn't come yet.
I think they're filming in there right now. Okay.
Your
It should be done in like a half an hour.
CIG community, your station airlocks have gas blowing in when cycling to a vacuum. Shouldn't there be the effect of gas escaping the chamber?
Yeah. Yes.
You're talking to the wrong guys.
I think he's right, unless this may be something where it's how an airlock works. It artificially we'll find out. We'll ask the science.
We'll ask a science.
Ask a science with Dr. Math.
Will there be any gameplay for the Freelancer in 2.1? Well, you get to fly it around. Basically, flying around. And I know, what's his name? Aaron Roberts was talking about the cargo system is coming up soon. No ETA, but we've got enough ships that can utilize it now. They're starting to.
He's going to build some missions around it.
Yeah, they want to do some missions around the cargo system. So that's one of the things they're talking about right now. When that means it'll come, I don't know.
By the way, if there's one thing those guys at Foundry can do,
Anything.
Well, yeah, but no, Foundry UK.
Oh,
Foundry
okay.
Germany can do anything.
Yeah.
So the team at Foundry UK, they previously worked on LEGO games, and before that, they worked on Battlestar Galactica game, Star Lancer, Privateer 2, all these classic space games. And it's a lot of the same guys who carried through it and all that. If you ever look at the number of missions in Wing Commander games, it's, between 16 in like an add-on, 20 or 30 in kind of a mid-range game to 50, 60 at most in one of Chris's base games. Privateer 2 The Darkening by the guys over there, it's more than 300 missions. And they're all really weird and elaborate. There's one that makes you do math, and everyone hated that.
I'm not math.
No, they are the world's foremost space combat game mission designers.
And there has been a question from the community.
Hey, it's Sean Criminal Tracy.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, you need to scoot
I'm the
up.
criminal.
Yeah, all the mics are up here, so you need to scoot forward and speak
okay.
upwards.
Okay.
Yell a lot.
I'm scooting. Whoa. I fell. I dropped.
This is Sean Criminal Tracy. Hi, Sean Tracy. Sean, why don't you tell folks, because this is your first time on Reverse the Verse, why don't you tell folks who you are?
I am Sean Criminal Tracy. I'm the technical director for content now on Star Citizen.
I just thought this would be funny. All right, go ahead. Where'd you come from? How'd you come to Star Citizen?
Oh wow, it's sort of a long story, I guess.
Give
I
us
was
the
one
nickel
of the very originals. Well, it was really interesting. Back in 2010, I think it was. Chris came into my office with Ortwin, and my office being the GDC CryEngine booth. And we started talking about how to do a space game on the CryEngine. And this was back in 2010. And a lot of people, and hell, a lot of people still even now are like, well, CryEngine can't do that. I don't know how you'd ever do such large environments, how you'd ever carry around so many ships, because, it was mostly FPS engine. But what a lot of people don't see is all the other games that are being made on it. And my job at Crytek, I was the U.S. business director. So I was actually doing all the licensing of the engine to all the companies using it. So guys like Turtle Rock for Evolve. I'm trying to think of the ones that have been all announced because I don't want to break some NDA from Crytek or anything. But there's been a bunch of CryEngine games since then. Arcade, that's a big MMO. So I already knew that there was lots of ways to actually get around this stuff. So Chris, being how he is, he wanted kind of some proof, basically. So we gave him the SDK. He started building up the Hornet. So that was the very first ship that he sort of built up. He implemented all these thrusters and things like this. And this was after our first little demo. Then we met up. I think it was about 6 months later, or it might even been an entire year later. And he came in with an implementation of his own ship, right? Flying around pretty much. He had asked us how to do a space environment, so showed him how to get rid of all the terrain, how you can just be flying around, things like this. So he came in, and we were super impressed with the fact that he did this himself, because I had dealt with so many different CEOs, even tech directors that wouldn't write a single line of code themselves, right? So they would come in, they would just have to take our word for it and then go from there. So he actually did work within the vehicle system. He was super happy with what he was seeing there, and just wanted to know how to go a little bit bigger with it. Now, I got pretty excited about this, and one of the ways that I moved up pretty quick within Crytek is that I can put together a prototype very, very quickly, as you saw with the Planet stuff. We just had the tech, but yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. So then what I did, I recruited a guy named Hannes Apfel, who now works for us as well. He's the cinematics director, as well as Paul Reindel. And we were all still at Crytek at the time. And what I had said to them was listen, we really want to close this license. This will be an amazing game to have on the CryEngine. So what we did was put together that very first crowdfunding video that you guys saw. So that video changed very little, but what we did was we put that prototype together and we delivered it to Chris as is. So what's kind of interesting to know is that when we do these sort of prototype videos, what we called it was a cover demo. Just like bands do cover songs, right? It's a song from another band. We make games from other studios is the idea, and we do this little prototype so that way the people that we're showing it to get it. They understand that, oh yeah, actually we can go about this. These guys put this together in a week. What could we do with 3 years. What could we do with 4 years? Whatever. So we gave it to him. What's kind of interesting about it was we had a soundtrack on it, and usually when we do these cover demos, they never go up publicly, so you can kind of put whatever audio on it you want. You don't have to worry about copyright or anything like this. So we put a track from the Thin Red Line, I think it was, on top of it, and we sent it to Chris as was. And I mean, he was pretty happy with it, as you guys saw. Pretty much unedited. There wasn't too much extra work that went on top of that. But there was a lot of tech that had to come online to make that possible, right? Because we'd never had to put in a ship that was, as expensive as an entire Crisis level, and fly it around, and then have additional ships sort of flying around and things like this. So we did that original crowdfunding video, got that out, and I remember the conversations that we were having when we were talking about the business arrangements for it. So we were saying in the original stages that we'd be lucky if we hit 5 million. We'd be, we were doing really good, and I remember, and things have changed since, so I'm not too worried about talking about this, but we had sort of peaked it at about 5 million in terms of, the royalty arrangements, stuff like this, and then this happened, right? So that obviously changed things quite a bit, so, things changed from there. I stayed at Crytek, obviously. Paul came over here shortly after that, I believe, but I was still at Crytek for number of years post Star Citizen starting up, but I think I'm citizen number 5 or something like that on the website. So yeah, I've been around sort of. Are you 5?
I'm 3.
Oh, you're 3. Oh, I see how it is. I think Forrest is 4.
No, Chris was 4 and he cheated and got privilege to
Oh,
change
I
it
can't
to
even
1.
remember what it is. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, no, it was really, way back in 2011, I think it was. So how I got here, anyways, I had still been out in Frankfurt when that happened. A couple years out in Frankfurt, then we opened up. Crytek opened up rather, a studio in Austin. So I came out here to open that, and then it's pretty public, but Crytek had some financial issues, so this was kind of an easy move, and there was a lot of different licensees that were talking to a few of us about moving over to them, and honestly, I always wanted to work on Star Citizen. Since making that very first crowdfunding video, I had not had more fun since working on that, and I knew that kind of was, if I had a choice, that's where I was going to go, and yeah, Chris made that choice pretty easy. When there was financial troubles and stuff like this, I reached out, and here I am. So that was kind of how I came to be with CIG, I guess.
Can you give me the 1-minute version of that?
Yeah.
So talk to us about planetary or procedural generation. What happened with that? Where'd that come from?
Well, we've actually been working on that for a while. That's the thing. So when I say we put the demo together within 2 days, that's not a lie. I mean, we absolutely put that together within 2 or 3 days. However, the underlying tech of that, he's been a guy by the name of Marco Corbetta, who's one of the best gameplay programmers in the industry. He was the main gameplay programmer at Crytek. He eventually became the CTO at Crytek, as well as Carson Wenzel, who is our rendering guru. He basically wrote the CryEngine from the get-go. So they were long at Crytek by the time I arrived. So these have always been my idols, and now that I'm working side by side with them on stuff, it's pretty exciting. But they've been working on this, trying to fit it in between the releases is the thing, as much as he can. So what's super interesting about it is, it's pretty isolated in terms of technology where it is in the code, because it is so new. But what's super interesting about it is that Marco had done so much work originally on Far Cry as well as Crisis 1 on the terrain systems. So basically, he's taking a lot of the procedural work that he worked on for those and bringing it up to a scale that's just never been done before. And Marco's always wanted to be working on more procedural work. From between Crisis 2 and Crisis 3, we were working on a procedural building generator was the other one that we had worked on, so that never really saw the light of day. The next thing that we worked on, and Marco and I were together actually within the Austin studio when we started it up, we had worked on something for a game called Hunt. And what this was a completely procedurally generated game, very much like Diablo, where you have tile sets and you sort of move those around. So he worked on that sort of level of procedural generation. And then finally he gets to work on, the ultimate, which is, procedural worlds, full procedural worlds. So all the underlying tech sort of came online within the last month, maybe 2 months. It's only been usable really for about a week, right? And I mean usable as in, you play it and it looks great, and it's fun to play, and it streams in pretty fast. It's not super laggy, all these kind of things. So yeah.
And coming up next, next for procedural generation, we talk lakes and water, water.
Did you guys tell him about all that stuff?
Yeah, we talked about it. Everything.
Did he? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be like all the stuff you would expect on a planet, right? Yeah. But our big goal, of course, is to. I don't want to use the terms we use internally, but I mean, of course, we want oceans, we want lakes, we want rivers, we want waterfalls, we want trees and animals and pretty much everything, right? Yeah. Now, we're not looking to do right, but we're not looking to do No Man's Sky. That's not this game, right? So we're not trying to get you to land and all of a sudden, there's a civilization attacking you and things like this. It's not quite that. What it's more about is exploration and procedural mission generation, and doing things on this planet, but not. No Man's Sky has a really cool technique of this sort of living story that sort of builds up around you. We're not really going about that. We want the player to create that story, and we want the players together to create that story, and to get some sort of emergent adventure coming out of that, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So it's really about what the players do with it, and less about what the world will do to the player, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha.
I think it is.
And we've been asked a number of times, we're the criminal.
Where's that come from?
Yeah, where's that come from?
Oh, wow. Well, the reason that I put that there is that was my online handle since I was like 12. So I kept that for a long time. But here's the thing. For me in the industry starting out, I started out as a modder, was the whole thing. And in the sort of modding scene, right, you still use your game name, is the whole thing. So a lot of people know me from the MechWarrior Living Legends mod, which me and my brother incepted and ran and released and brought it up to be pretty popular, but everybody knew me as Criminal, was the thing. Nobody knows Sean, right? So, in wanting to keep some of the people that were, played MechWarrior Living Legends, having the idea that those guys had moved over to work on CIG and things like that, I like to kind of keep my Criminal sort of handle. Where did the Criminal come from? I had this little line when I was like 12. It says, "Some criminals take your car, but I take your life." That was the whole. It was awful, but I mean, it is what it is. At least I'm true to myself, right? It's just Criminal, so that's where that comes from. There's nothing deeper, unfortunately. I wish there was a cooler story, but
when I was
12, come on.
Yeah, when I was 12, I saw the Computer wore tennis shoes. Kirk Cameron, or whatever one the Kirk Cameron one was, where he was an android named Chip, and I spent like a month. Not quite human. I spent like half a month trying to convince people to call me Chip as my nickname. So, criminals.
Here's what was super strange was when as a modding team, what happens with modding teams, and it's a management nightmare, because people are motivated for about a month, and then they disappear, right? So you get all these guys to come on your TeamSpeak, and on your TeamSpeak, you're all your like usernames, but you're not Sean Tracy, you're not Dan Tracy, you're not your actual name. So for a long time, a lot of people were just calling me Criminal directly. Like when they're talking to me, they're saying, "Hey Criminal, hey Criminal, hey Criminal," and it's on on the headset. What got really weird is when I started working for real with these people. So a lot of the guys that worked on the mod team with me, we all kind of went to Crytek together. Like I ended up there, then I pulled my brother there, then I pulled a guy named Morgan Kita, who I only knew as Toth for the longest time. And even still, when I spoke to him in person, on occasion, I would go Toth. And it was just so strange to him, but it was the same for me as well. So even since then, we brought on Caleb Essex, who was at Crytek. He's now at CIG as well, but he was Shadow Killer. It was so weird to meet the guys in person, though we had spoken so many times. So that was the weirdest transition. So that's why I kind of leave the Criminal there. Is one, I want people to know that I was I worked on the MechWarrior Living Legends stuff. This was my baby. This was my brother and I's, sort of pride and joy. It was the first game that we had done together. the first game that we'd really managed to finish, and it was a big deal. It took a lot of my time, but it also made me realize what I wanted to do as my career. Right, I was in the military before, so it was kind of like, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the military or do you want to make games? And well, it was a pretty easy decision.
It was Canadian military.
It was Canadian military, the better one.
Everybody here calls me Lando except for Chris. Chris is the only person that calls me Jared.
Well, it's like Steven. Who the hell's Steven?
Yeah, I see tons of this chat about BattleTech having so much offer. That's totally right. And someday, mark my words, I want to make that game. I still want to make that game. And it's crazy because all the tech that we're working on with this would lend itself so well. There's so many things I see in it that I'm like, oh my god, that'd be amazing in BattleTech. Oh my god, that'd be amazing. And I don't want to make a MechWarrior game like the Piranha Games game, MechWarrior Online, that's fine. It's a MechWarrior game, but I don't want to make a MechWarrior game. I would love to make a BattleTech game. And I'm not talking tabletop sort of turn-based kind of stuff. I'm talking like a battlefield BattleTech, you know, where it's mixed arms, you get out of your mech, you get back in, you get in elemental, that stuff. But mark my words, someday. What, are you saying don't talk about that yet? Someday. Star Citizen will be done someday too.
Hopefully. Joining us in the background, we have writers. They're probably too far back to be heard.
Oh, should I get out of here?
No. But yes.
all right.
But no. That's Sherry Heiberg and Will Weisbaum and the third one. How you guys doing?
That's Dave Haddock.
That's Dave Haddock back there. Hi, Dave. So they're dressed spiffy for our holiday party this evening.
We had to show off our fancy clothing.
Yes. Yes.
You want to like twirl?
Oh yeah, business casual.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I live like a couple blocks away, so I'm going home.
Going home to change after this.
Yeah, I'm changing.
what you guys don't know is they told us all to dress up in business casual, and I said to myself a long time ago, working in game development, if I ever had to wear a suit or a tie or khaki pants or anything, I would quit. So here I am in jeans and a golf shirt. This is as business casual as I get.
My favorite part was when they sent the graphic around in Skype yesterday. But business casual, do and don't. Don't was my entire wardrobe. It was everything I own was in the don't category. I'm like, yeah. Is that a corduroy coat jacket, Will Weisbaum?
It is.
That's what
Do you
they're
like take it off of Mr. Rogers' body, or?
That's very writerly.
Yeah, see, everybody's like business casual, technically no jeans. That's right, exactly. That's why I said
English Professor Chic.
Well, to be fair, we are in Los
Does it
Angeles.
have suede elbow patches?
No, it doesn't. It has no suede elbow patches. I was just saying that. That's a serious party foul.
looking at the questions.
Yeah, see, it always steers towards MechWarrior some days. I'm telling you. I won't leave it behind someday.
We're still pushing for 2.1. Don't know yet for sure. Could be today.
That's a limited PTU release, not a wide release. Just that.
It's got cool stuff, though. Are we talking about what's in it, or no?
Yeah, we talked about what's in it. We talked about it on the stream.
Right? Yeah, one of the big things in 2.1 is the refactored EVA. It's going to feel a little bit weird to people at first, though. So the EVA, okay. How it worked, I don't want to go too deep on it. How it worked before was animation
Side
driven.
conversations.
So how it worked before was animation driven motion, which means basically we're just saying entity move here, entity move here, entity move here, entity move here. And then we do animation to get to that sort of position. Now, this is obviously very fake. This is how most characters move around in the world, though. When we go animation-driven motion for the characters walking around and things like this. In EVA, it's a totally different beast. What we wanted was a pure physical EVA. So now you are a physical representation of a human. We've always had this for on foot and for ragdolls and things like this. What it required was a mix of animation-driven as well as ragdoll. So at the same time, and blending between different ratios, we are ragdolling you or animating you sort of at the same time. This is kind of a weird concept, but it works so much better for EVA than the animation-driven one. One of the biggest differences, and I don't know if you had ever noticed this, but in our old EVA, you would have this is a person.
Your person.
This is the feet at the bottom. When you would rotate from the feet.
From the feet, yes.
Which is ridiculous, and it looks super stupid
You're
when you're
clocking
watching,
space.
somebody else sort of do this rotation. You need to rotate from center of mass is the whole deal. And if somebody shoots you in the foot, for example, you got to go end over end, not from the feet. So what we do with the physical representation now, we don't just say, oh, rotate from the hips. We say rotate from whatever your center of mass is. So if I had a massive head, big set of armor, and then tiny little legs, then I'm going to rotate way up here. But if I'm carrying a weapon and I'm generally human, it's going to be near the hips, right? It's right in this sort of center of mass kind of area. So now you rotate from that when you're controlling. Additionally, all the thrusters are actually physical. This isn't just a fake effect anymore. So we don't just turn on these little effects and then say, oh, animated driven, go forward. This is actually, okay, we apply an impulse to the ragdoll. The ragdoll reacts. So this is really cool when you see it happen. You'll go forward and your arms will kind of go like this, right? Because they're sort of flapping out with the ragdoll. And then as we actually get a little bit more normalized, right, the animation will come back and take over and the pose will go back in. Where this is really cool, and you guys can try this out, and we're gonna work on it even more. When you go up close to like physics, and I'm gonna pretend these two guys are walls, so I've got my hands out sort of like this, and I'm floating over, you're gonna see the arm will sort of move in like this, and then it's gonna come back out as you move out, and then you'll go in, and your arm will sort of move in, and then it'll come out. Same thing with the feet. So it's pretty cool, actually. The system is similar to something called morphine, if people know that, or it's used in the FIFA
morphine.
games. Yeah, morphine.
Are we talking about the same morphine?
Yeah, the stuff used in, not the drug.
Oh, all right.
No, the stuff used in the FIFA games.
Thought I was gonna have to go to another meeting.
EA does something very similar in the FIFA games, which are pretty cool. But obviously they don't do 0G. And then the other problem is all the transitioning. So you got to go from that sort of entity-driven movement, which could be a whole game in itself, easily, to going down to FPS combat and all this kind of stuff. Where it gets really tricky, and I'm sorry, I'm sitting here just
do it.
blabbing on.
No, they want to
You
hear.
do this every week.
So
do your thing,
where it
dude.
gets really tricky is actually doing the aim posing. So the aim posing is the hardest part about this. So actually what you guys were seeing in 2.0 is actually a pretty big bug. The weapon, it might have seemed okay for everyone, but the weapon was way out in front. You could see the back of it, and it's because his hands were completely messed up. I mean, it was just sort of hovering out in front. This is not at all what we want EVA combat to be. We actually want EVA combat to be holding the weapon, you know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna be a little sprawled out like you're swimming, but yeah, you need to be able to aim the weapon like normal, right? We're gonna give, there's no physical impulse right now to actually put the player end over end, but there will be. And then we've got to balance all of that, like which weapon does that, which one doesn't, things like this. But yeah, the aim posing is tricky because you need an actual root joint to do all your calculations off of. So if you can imagine, you're moving in all these different sort of directions and ways. For us to actually find a root joint that isn't moving is very tricky. So actually what we do is we do not animate the hip joint. So the hip joint is the reference joint for everything. Mm-hmm. So when we do our polar to rectangular conversions, we can use the actual hip joint for all the angles. So in that way, you have a proper pose that you are holding all the time that's very, very smooth feeling. Like it feels like an FPS now. So that was a super important part, and it took weeks to get that right, just the math. Getting that right, so
It's almost like this game isn't finished and it's still in development.
yeah, pretty much. Weird. R&D land, we're always in R&D land, which is awesome, and I would want nothing less. But it makes production hard because you end up in a weird state where you're supporting live releases, so you kind of have to support some of your legacy stuff, and then when you're going to refactor something, it's like you've got to find a slot to get all that refactored, and guess what? If that's R&D land, you have no idea where the end of that is. So that's tricky. So a lot of the times what you guys see is a little bit of a half-finished system, and it's not half-finished because we just left it. We just half-finished because that's a state that it's playable, that we can give it to you guys.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to let it sit for a little bit.
That's good. What else is cool about 2.0? Or 2.1. The physical EVA is the biggest part about it. We've just been working so much on that. Just because there's so many bugs around the old EVA, and I can't stand it. There's so many things like, the teleporting to 000, that's from EVA, the head being backwards sometimes. Oh my god, there's just so many. There were so many things that I just didn't want to fix because it's like maintaining an old system. And that's the most frustrating part. Like already, a guy by the name of Jens Lind in the UK helped me with one of these bugs where we had, and I think everybody in the 2.0 PTU had it at some point or another. When you were transitioning into a gravity volume or a gravity box on one of the landing pads, if you were doing any sort of turning, you would keep turning forever. So you would jump, and then you would end up in gravity, and then all of a sudden you'd be spinning around like this, and there was no way to get out of it unless you could get off the pad, unless you could get back into zero gravity, because then it would normalize itself back out. But poor people, I saw it on the live streams. They were trying so hard to get back off the pad, but you were running in a damn circle, so you couldn't get out. But we had to spend a good day and a half fixing that. But in the end, we've now just replaced it, so that day and a half is kind of wasted. But it's not wasted because you guys played the 2.0 for a week and a half or whatever. But it was time that we of course don't want to spend. But that's the difficulty to supporting live and doing development all at the same time.
Yes, and it's important to remember when you see things and you wonder why haven't they fixed that yet. It's possible that it could be in an older system that's being replaced, and we don't want to put that work into the older system that we know we're replacing.
That's a huge part of it, and a lot of people will just go, "Oh, well, they just don't care about those bugs." Well, sort of, because we know it's going to be gone, or we know we're going to have a different bug with the new system, and we'd rather be working on those. Unfortunately, that's just not as visible in the live releases, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, so. And that plays a big part in balancing, because we know when the component system comes online and all these things, the power pipes actually start working and stuff, all of these, balancing is going to have to be done after all those, not before.
Yeah.
So, can we have Sean Tracy every week on RTV?
Well, I'll be moving here to LA, so I'm sure I can make some time to get on these. I really like doing it, and this is the same conversation that I have all the time with the staff here, so it's fun. I just got to be careful I don't leak too much.
Let's see, what other, we got a few minutes left in the show. Let's see, what are questions we have? Going too fast. Any updates on the 300 series rework, Ben?
No.
It's time on the wheel hasn't come.
In fact, I'm not sure why that suddenly came up. I saw it was everywhere all of a sudden that we're reworking it. It's no change in plan lately.
Any news regarding CPU multi-thread optimization?
Tons. Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. I don't know. I don't know what kind of info to give you guys, but we went crazy profiling on the servers in the last 2 weeks. So it's not really the client side that we're so worried about, it's the server more than anything. So we're getting the servers worked out more than the client right now. We've got to get the optimization on the servers. One of the tricks and one of the problems for CryEngine anyways generally is the server. So when you're doing a big game like this, what you have to do is you have to allocate a certain number of instances to a certain number of cores. It's a cost thing. So you pay per number of cores per so many hours, right? Or per minute even to some distributors. So what that means is that we've got to optimize first our servers for the number of cores that we will run. What's really hard about that is, again, because we're live development, we don't even know how many servers, we don't know yet how many instances per core we want to run, right? So we started with 2. This was the very original Arena Commander sort of stuff, seemed to be okay, right? In the PTU, that got very obvious very quickly that having only 2 cores, and imagine just trying to run your client on a 2-core machine, forget it. And the server has to do a lot of the same kind of information, a lot of the same kind of calculation that the client does, just a little bit different, right? So imagine just trying to run that on 2 cores. So obviously the server started cratering in terms of performance. Like, here's a good example to give you as well about the server and the difference between a CryEngine and say something like Eve. Eve, their servers, and I've met with them on many occasions before CIG because they were looking at licensing CryEngine for Valkyrie at some point, which they clearly didn't, which is too bad. They should have, but at least their systems. Anyways, I digress. So they have their servers updated about 2 frames a second, right? This is not a problem for Eve. Most of it's point and click. It's not very reactive. It absolutely is not the speed of an FPS game. In an FPS game, you need at least a 33 millisecond update. You need to have 30 frames a second going, and that includes the server, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, right, we have to operate at least 15 times the speed on our server. So that way all the things are coming in. So when a player shoots, when a player is looking, how he's flying, but it's why the experience feels so drastically different is because of the server update. So server's got to run just as fast, but you also have to mitigate all this cost of how many instances per core you have, and it can get very, very expensive. So what we did during the PTU is actually we increased it from 2 to 3, and we're now taking a look at 4. Now, a lot of people are just going to say, well, just increase it to 12 or however many that a client's going to get. And yeah, I understand that we're getting a lot of crowdfunding money. It's going well for us, but not that well. And there is a waste, right, at some level. So really what we're trying to optimize right now is the servers on 3 to 4 cores. We'll see how those servers actually run for that. So we'll set up our server code in a way that actually all the threading worked out really well for the server, and then we move on to the client, because that's where it's unlimited, so to speak, right? So you get 8, 12, however many cores that the client's going to have to run, but we want to make sure that the engine scales really nicely to all of those cores. Right now it scales super well to about an 8 core, so a 4 core with hyper-threading, it scales pretty well on. So most people that are playing with like an i7 or something like this, they're laughing, like everything's great. Now, on an i5, it's a very different story. So, even this slight step down of cores makes a pretty big difference, because we have some pretty major job systems going on certain one of the cores, and we have to move that onto the main thread for i5s, and it gets a little bit crazy. Now, I don't want to go too deep, because I don't want to say something wrong right now and be like called back and quoted and stuff like that, but yeah, anyways, we're optimizing the...
We're already going to be called back and quoted plenty.
And so you guys know, one of the big guys that's working on it is a guy, and he's going to hate that I use his name anyways, by the name of Christopher Bolte. He is within the Frankfurt office. His thesis, his master's thesis, was on job systems within, and actually we should make sure it's available or something like that in some notes. It's online. It's mostly written in German though.
The archived thesis is online?
His thesis, yeah, it's online. It's on job parallelization, right? But actually, so his thesis was on job systems. So he's the guy working on it, and he is the guy you want working on it. Is the thing. So.
All right. Well, if you haven't noticed, Ben and I are incredibly tired after a last 6-month run, so we pulled Sean in here as a ringer this week. Thank you so much, Sean, for pulling the effort for this off of us and carrying our TV today.
Yeah, because I've had lots of sleep. It's been good.
We just have a Star Wars hangover, is all.
Oh yeah, you guys went last night.
That's right. Yeah.
Fucking cheaters. Oh, well, we can't swear. I'm sorry, we probably can't swear.
Fine.
Whatever. We're going today.
So you're heading back to Austin, and then you're moving out here in January?
That's right. Yep.
Find a place yet?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. It's nice.
I'll ask you about it when we're not on the air, so people don't know where you live.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
All right, well, that pretty much wraps up. That pretty much wraps up this week's RTV. This will be the last RTV of the year, actually. Last RTV of the year. Next Friday is Christmas. Christmas?
Christmas? Yes.
Is it Christmas?
It is.
Yeah.
Christmas.
So we'll all be with our families and away from here. Then the next Friday is New Year's, and we'll still won't be here. So yeah. So to everybody watching, happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy
Merry
Hanukkah,
Christmas. Happy New Year's.
others, Happy New Year's.
We love you.
Watch our social media too if you want to see us being idiots during the break. I'm sure we'll be periscoping.
Yes.
All that.
Please drive safe.
Periscope is needed.
Please drive safe. Don't drink and drive.
Don't
Don't
text
text and drive.
And
Be
thanks
kind
for,
to your moms.
Yes. And thanks for all the funding. That's like, I don't know how much you guys realize it, but I'm able to work as much as I can and feed my family and things like this for that funding. This is not like, I can't tell you how much I thank you guys for this. It's just weird because I'll end up on a Twitch stream. I'm sorry, I'm gonna extend this.
Do it.
I'll end
No,
up on a Twitch stream or in the chat, and they're like, "You guys are so amazing. Thank you so much." Blah, blah, blah. But actually, for me, it's thank you guys because I get to do my passion because you guys believe in this. So.
Is that capoeira? Dance fighting?
Yeah, that's my passion. But seriously, I'm up until 3 in the morning working on this stuff, not because anybody's paying me to do it. It's because I fucking love it. I really, really love working on this stuff. But because of the funding and because of your guys' support for this game, again, my family's able to eat. I'm able to do this and make this best game possible. So thank you guys for that. It's a big deal. And I don't think it's said enough. So.
Yes. I don't have a family, so I'm able to buy a lot of garbage. So thank you for that. It fills our apartment from floor to ceiling
And your desk.
and our desk. So thank you for that.
But no, seriously, it's been incredible years, guys. We appreciate everything you've done for us, letting us have this just creative environment to make this thing. It's true, we can't say enough. But we hope you and yours have a wonderful holiday season, and we will be in touch. There's more cool stuff to come.
Next year's gonna be big.
Yep.
Much.
There's still going to be ATVs. Check them out. They're in the bin, and we'll see you in the new year.
In the verse.
What button turns this off?
Why did I change?